The trailer for episode 7 wastes no time reminding us that Jeremiah and Belly's relationship is hanging by a thread, even if neither of them wants to admit it. From the outside, they look like the perfect couple about to walk down the aisle happy, glowing, in love. But once you look closer, Jeremiah's smile feels forced. Belly's eyes look conflicted, and the silence between them says more than any words ever could. What's eating at Belly is not just pre-wedding nerves, it's the undeniable truth that her heart has always belonged to Conrad, and the show has made it clear every time she tries to push those feelings away, they come back stronger. Now, what makes episode 7 so thrilling is that we finally see Belly run out of excuses. After all the bridal showers, family gatherings, and sweet moments with Jeremiah, she still can't shake what she feels when Conrad is around. And this isn't a harmless crush. It's love, messy and painful, the kind that keeps her awake at night. The tension becomes unbearable because Jeremiah is blind to it, still clinging to the idea that Belly chose him wholeheartedly when the truth is far from it. But Jeremiah's own secrets refuse to stay buried. His wild night in Cabo where he cheated on Belly is about to catch up with him in the worst possible way. His frat boyfriends are reckless, loud, and careless, and during his bachelor party, they let the truth slip without shame. They laugh, they brag, they recall how Jeremiah spent his time wrapped up with another girl like Belly didn't even exist. And it's Conrad who hears it, standing there realizing that his brother, the one Belly is about to marry, never truly respected her love in the first place. This revelation is what sets episode 7 on fire because Conrad is done being silent. He's carried his love for Belly for years, swallowing his words, stepping aside, letting her go. But this time, he won't let her throw her future away on a lie. He won't let Jeremiah take what he doesn't deserve. For the first time, Conrad decides to fight. Not just for Belly, but for the truth itself. What makes this moment even more powerful is Belly's reaction. Because when Conrad rushes to her and exposes Jeremiah's betrayal, Belly doesn't act shocked. Instead, she admits she already knew. And that revelation hits harder than any slap could. Belly, the girl who once demanded honesty, who once stood up for herself, allowed Jeremiah to betray her and still forgave him. Her tears prove she knows it was a mistake. That deep down, she's been living in denial, convincing herself that stability and safety matter more than passion and love. But seeing her like this shatters Conrad. It pushes him to do the one thing he's been terrified of, saying out loud what he's kept hidden all this time. And with his voice breaking, his eyes full of pain, he finally says the words Belly always wanted to hear. I love you. For a second, the world feels like it stops. For a second, Belly feels like she has the life she always dreamed of within reach. But the timing is cruel because she's standing on the edge of a wedding with his brother. The heartbreaking twist is that Belly doesn't give in. She doesn't kiss him. She doesn't run into his arms. Instead, she pulls away, realizing how wrong this moment is, how dangerous it would be to follow her heart. She leaves Conrad alone, walking away from the one man she truly loves. While the weight of her choice threatens to crush her, it's one of those rare moments where love feels less like a blessing and more like a curse. The trailer hints at the fallout that follows. Conrad trying to cover his confession by calling it drunken nonsense, Belly refusing to let him run away from the truth again, and the brothers standing on opposite sides of a storm that will change everything. And if you thought the wedding would be the grand romantic ending, episode 7 promises the exact opposite. Because Belly's final choice isn't about picking the perfect groom. It's about deciding whether she can keep lying to herself or if she has the courage to walk away from everything. And once she makes that decision, nothing will ever be the same. The fallout from Conrad's confession is where episode 7 finds its sharpest edge. Because this is no longer a story about Belly choosing between two brothers. It is about truth crashing into lies, love colliding with betrayal, and a young woman finally forced to see her life for what it really is. Belly's tears after Conrad's words aren't just about hearing the confession she's always longed for. They're about the realization that she's built her entire future on a fragile foundation. For so long, she has convinced herself that Jeremiah is safe. Jeremiah is steady. Jeremiah is the one who will never hurt her. But the truth is, he already has. And the hurt is not just in the betrayal with another girl. It's in his carelessness, his recklessness, and his inability to grow into the man she needs him to be. Belly wanted comfort, but comfort without respect is just another kind of heartbreak. This is why Conrad's "I love you" hits her so hard. It's not only the words, it's the weight of knowing she chose wrong, the weight of knowing her heart has been screaming for him all along. But instead of running to him, Belly turns away because facing that truth means destroying everything she has been clinging to, and she isn't ready. Not yet. The trailer teases the aftermath of this devastating night, and it shows us Conrad slipping back into the same pattern that has haunted him for years. He wakes up the next morning with regret eating him alive. He tells himself it was a mistake, that he should not have spoken, that he was drunk, that none of it matters. But Belly won't let him do this again. She reminds him that in season 2, he did the exact same thing, confessed his love, and then yanked it away the next day, leaving her shattered. This time she demands that he stand by his words. But Conrad, in his pain, in his fear of ruining Jeremiah's happiness, still tries to run. And this is where Belly's anger finally spills over. Because it's not just Jeremiah who has hurt her. Conrad has too, with his silence, his hesitation, his refusal to fight for her when she needed him most. For years, Belly has been caught in the storm of these brothers' choices, and now she realizes she cannot let them decide her future anymore. The tears turn into rage, and in a moment of strength, Belly tells Conrad to leave. She tells him not to show up to the wedding, not to even speak to her again. And though she says these words through pain, she knows they are necessary because right now she cannot survive in this endless cycle of hope and disappointment. But what Belly doesn't realize is that her words are the spark that sets off a chain reaction. Conrad, destroyed by her rejection, still carries the truth about Jeremiah's betrayal. And once that truth escapes, it will not only break Jeremiah's perfect image, it will turn the brothers against each other in a way they can never come back from. The trailer hints at Jeremiah sensing something is wrong. He sees Conrad leaving. He sees Belly's broken expression. And he knows. He knows something happened between them. And Jeremiah, who has always feared Conrad's shadow, suddenly feels it pressing down on him again. His greatest fear has always been that Belly would never stop loving Conrad. And now it looks like that fear is becoming real. What makes this even worse is that Jeremiah is guilty, deeply guilty, because the cheating he tried to bury, the mistake he swore was meaningless, is about to come back into the light. And the closer the wedding gets, the harder it becomes for him to keep pretending he's the right choice for Belly. The brilliance of episode 7 lies in the unbearable tension between appearance and reality. On the surface, the preparations for the wedding move forward. The dress fittings, the flowers, the smiling family members, the bachelor party celebrations. But underneath it all is a ticking clock, each second pushing Belly closer to a truth she can't run from. Jeremiah is still putting on his charming face, still playing the role of the devoted fiancé. But his mask is slipping, and Belly sees it. She sees the way he avoids her eyes, the way his laughter doesn't quite reach his heart, the way his insecurity eats at him. And Conrad, even when absent, is still everywhere. His words echo in her mind. His presence lingers in her chest. His love haunts her every step. This is why Belly looks so conflicted in every glance, why the smile on her lips never reaches her eyes. She knows what she feels. She just doesn't want to admit it. Not yet. The suspense builds because the wedding itself is now less about celebration and more about exposure. What will happen when Jeremiah learns that Belly knows about his betrayal? What will happen when he realizes that Conrad has confessed his love again? And most importantly, What will Belly do when she stands at the altar with one brother waiting for her hand and the other carrying her heart? The trailer doesn't answer these questions. It only sharpens them. It shows us glimpses of the storm without revealing how it ends. And that's what makes episode 7 so thrilling. It is the breaking point of the entire season, the place where all the secrets finally collide. Belly's choice is no longer just about love. It's about truth, dignity, and the courage to stop living in denial. Because if she goes through with this wedding, it won't be a beginning. It will be the biggest lie of her life. And so, episode 7 promises to be the moment we've all been waiting for. The moment where Belly finally stops running and faces the truth. Will she walk away from Jeremiah at the very last second? Will she finally give in to Conrad's love? Or will she choose neither, realizing that sometimes love is not enough to heal what's been broken? The trailer leaves us hanging. But one thing is clear. Nothing will ever be the same for the Conklin girls, the Fisher boys, or the tangled love story that has kept us hooked for 3 seasons. Episode 7 is the storm before the finale, and once it passes, no heart will be left unbroken. Episode 7 doesn't just build suspense around Belly's heart, it tears into the deeper wounds that have always haunted the story. Because the truth is, this isn't just about romance or even betrayal. It's about family, loyalty, and the scars that come when love becomes a battlefield. The Fisher brothers have always been opposites, 2 halves of a broken mirror that Belly can't stop looking into. Jeremiah has always been sunshine, the easy choice, the boy who could make her laugh even when the world felt too heavy. Conrad has always been the storm, the brooding figure who pulled her in with a gravity she couldn't resist, even when she knew it would hurt. Episode 7 is where those identities crash head-on. Because once the secrets spill, neither brother can hide behind those old roles anymore. Jeremiah can no longer play the perfect fiancé when the truth about Cabo is out. And Conrad can no longer play the distant martyr when his love has been exposed. And Belly, caught between them, has to face the reality that choosing one will destroy the other. And not choosing at all may destroy herself. The tension that unfolds in this episode is unlike anything we've seen before, because it's not just about love triangles and teenage heartbreak, it's about betrayal inside a family that has already endured too much. Susanna's absence still hangs like a ghost over every scene, her memory tied into every fight and every tear. And in a way, episode 7 feels like the moment where all the grief that's been buried since her death finally boils over. Conrad has carried her loss like a shield, using it as a reason to hold back, to hide his feelings, to let Jeremiah take the place he secretly wanted. Jeremiah, in turn, has used it as a way to prove himself, to step into a role he thought Conrad abandoned, to be the one who can give Belly what Conrad couldn't. But now, in the shadows of this wedding, both brothers are realizing that Susanna's dream of peace and happiness for Belly may never come true, because instead of bringing them closer together, Belly's presence is tearing them apart. What makes episode 7 so gut-wrenching is the way it forces everyone to show their true colors. Jeremiah, when confronted, will finally have to admit that he cheated, that he lied, and that he let his insecurities push him into making choices that betrayed not only Belly, but himself. He has always wanted to be seen as better than Conrad. But this moment proves that in his desperation to win, he has become careless with the one thing that mattered most: Belly's trust. Meanwhile, Belly must confront the fact that she knew all along. She knew Jeremiah wasn't perfect, that he had hurt her, but she chose to forgive him anyway. And that forgiveness was not strength. It was fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of choosing Conrad and being hurt again. Fear of starting over. But the longer she clings to that fear, the more she loses herself. This is the painful truth Belly must face in episode 7. Love without honesty is just another lie. And she has been lying to herself for far too long. Conrad, though, is the heart of this storm. His confession changes everything because it is the one thing Belly has always wanted from him, but never received at the right time. And now that it's here, it feels both like a gift and a curse. Conrad has always been the boy who holds back, the one who sacrifices his happiness for everyone else, the one who lets the world think he doesn't care when in reality it's all he thinks about. But in episode 7, he finally breaks. He admits what he feels, he shows his vulnerability, and in doing so, he risks everything: his relationship with his brother, his future with Belly, even his own fragile heart. And when Belly walks away, it leaves him shattered. But unlike before, when he buried his feelings and hid behind his walls, this time the truth is out in the open. He can't take it back. And that's what makes the fallout so explosive. The suspense is sharpened by the setting of the wedding itself. Every ritual, every plan, every step closer to the altar becomes a ticking bomb. The bridal dress fittings, the rehearsal dinner, the vows being written, all of it feels like a charade, a performance for a love that no longer exists. And Belly feels it. Every time Jeremiah smiles at her, she remembers Cabo. Every time Conrad avoids her eyes, she remembers his confession. Every time she looks at herself in the mirror, she sees a bride-to-be who doesn't look happy, who doesn't look certain, who doesn't look like the girl she thought she'd be on her wedding day. The weight of these realizations builds until the audience can practically feel her breaking piece by piece as she tries to hold it all together. But what truly makes episode 7 unforgettable is the sense that this isn't just Belly's decision anymore. Jeremiah is fighting to keep her. Conrad is fighting to save her. And the entire family is watching as the triangle threatens to tear them all apart. Laurel's return in episode 6 was already emotional, but now it becomes even more complicated. As Belly's mother, she wants to see her daughter happy, but she can't ignore the tension in the room. She sees Conrad's pain, she sees Jeremiah's desperation, and she sees Belly's confusion. And for the first time, she might realize that pushing her daughter toward a choice just for the sake of stability could destroy her. This isn't just a love story anymore. It's a story about survival, about who can withstand the truth and who will break under the weight of it. So, as episode 7 barrels forward, the questions only get sharper. Will Belly finally admit that her heart has never left Conrad, even if it means walking away from Jeremiah at the altar? Will Jeremiah's anger explode when he realizes his brother confessed his love again, igniting a war that can't be undone? And will Conrad, fragile and broken, finally stop running and fight for what he wants, no matter the cost? The trailer doesn't give us the answers, but it shows us enough to know that episode 7 will be the breaking point, the moment where every lie collapses and the truth comes roaring to the surface. And when it does, no one will leave unscathed. Not Belly, not Jeremiah, and especially not Conrad. By the time episode 7 unfolds into its later half, the story stops being just about the love triangle and begins to feel like an unraveling of everything these characters have tried to hold together for 3 entire seasons. Belly thought she could keep pushing forward, telling herself that Jeremiah was the safe choice and that safety was enough. But safety is starting to feel more like a cage than a comfort. And the more the truth presses against her chest, the more she realizes this wedding is not the beginning of a new life. It is the end of who she really is. The suspense is so sharp here because Belly is walking through a world that still looks picture perfect. Bridesmaids smiling, Jeremiah trying his hardest to act as if nothing is wrong, friends and family gathering in celebration. But all of it feels false to her now, like a stage play she can't escape. Every vow she rehearses feels empty. Every smile she forces feels heavy. And every glance at Jeremiah reminds her of the betrayal she's pretending doesn't matter. And yet what stings the most is that even after all of this, Conrad is still in her heart, pulling her in with a force she cannot deny. The very act of ignoring him has become exhausting, because the harder she tries to let him go, the more she feels him there. And then comes the brutal reality of Jeremiah's unraveling. The bachelor party may have been played off as harmless fun, but the truth that emerged there has planted seeds of doubt in Jeremiah's own mind too. He knows Conrad heard it, He knows the betrayal is out now, living in the open, even if Belly has forgiven him. And Jeremiah begins to spiral, not only with jealousy, but with fear. His biggest insecurity has always been Conrad, the shadow of the older brother who never had to try, who always drew Belly's heart without saying a word. Jeremiah thought winning the proposal, securing the wedding, and standing at the altar would prove that he was enough. But now, on the eve of it all, he feels Conrad's presence more than ever. He knows his brother confessed. He sees the pain in Conrad's eyes and the confusion in Belly's. And instead of celebrating, Jeremiah is seething. He's holding on to Belly tighter. But the tighter he holds, the more obvious it becomes that she's slipping through his fingers. This is the part of episode 7 where Jeremiah stops being the carefree boy of summer and starts to look like a man terrified of losing everything. His smiles fade into desperation. His charm turns brittle, and his fear drives him toward choices that could tear his bond with Belly and with Conrad forever. Meanwhile, Conrad is left carrying the unbearable weight of having spoken his truth only to lose Belly once again. He tries to convince himself that backing away is the right thing, that pretending he was drunk is a way of protecting her, of protecting Jeremiah, of protecting everyone but himself. But Conrad's silence doesn't heal anyone anymore. It only hurts. It hurts Belly because she feels him retreat again just when she needs clarity. It hurts Jeremiah because his silence makes it clear that Conrad's feelings are real, no matter how much he tries to bury them. And it hurts Conrad most of all because he has finally exposed the love he's been suffocating with for years. And now he has to live with the ache of watching Belly walk toward a future that doesn't include him. Episode 7 drags him through the same cycle he's endured since season 1, moments of hope followed by crushing loss. But this time it feels final. It feels like Conrad is reaching his breaking point, like he cannot go through this torment one more time without shattering completely. The most powerful part of this episode, though, isn't in the brothers fighting, or even in Belly's tears. It's in the silence that follows. The quiet moments where Belly stares at her wedding dress, fingers trembling on the lace, knowing she doesn't feel the joy a bride is supposed to feel. The pauses where Jeremiah looks at her too long, sensing her heart isn't with him, but refusing to admit it. The heavy silences when Conrad and Belly cross paths and say nothing because the words they've already spoken hang louder than anything else. These silences are the heart of episode 7. They're the spaces where the audience can feel everything falling apart even before it actually does. And those silences are what make the suspense unbearable. Because we all know something is coming. A storm has been brewing since the moment Belly accepted Jeremiah's ring. And episode 7 is where that storm finally touches down. But the storm doesn't just threaten Belly's love life. It threatens the entire family dynamic. For Laurel, this wedding has been a test too. She's been trying to support Belly, trying to heal old wounds, trying to hold her daughter's happiness together with her own hands. But Laurel isn't blind. She can see the tension in the room. She can see Conrad's longing. She can see Jeremiah's desperation. And most painfully, she can see Belly's doubt. As a mother, she wants her daughter to have the life she deserves. But what she's watching now doesn't look like love. It looks like a tragedy waiting to happen. And the harder she tries to encourage Belly, the more she wonders if she's only pushing her toward disaster. The Fisher family, too, feels the cracks. What used to be a bond of brothers united by grief is now turning into a battlefield where love is the weapon and Belly is at the center of the crossfire. What Susanna dreamed for them, a summer of love, warmth, and family, is unraveling in front of everyone's eyes, and there is no way to stop it. And so the suspense in episode 7 reaches its peak with one burning question. Will Belly find the courage to stop this wedding before it destroys them all? Because every sign points to the truth being inevitable. Jeremiah can no longer hide his betrayal. Conrad can no longer silence his love. And Belly can no longer pretend she doesn't feel the weight of it all. The closer she gets to the altar, the heavier her steps become, because deep down she knows she's walking toward a lie. And when the truth finally breaks open, it won't just shatter Jeremiah or Conrad, it will shatter Belly too. Because making a choice doesn't mean she wins. It means she loses something, someone, and a part of herself, no matter what she does. That is the cruel beauty of this story. And that is why episode 7 is poised to be one of the most devastating hours of the entire series.